G'day. Welcome to Hypno Summit. Have you ever found yourself conflicted, thinking of one thing and another, being lost in between two different ideas at the same time, maybe even more? Like, let's say, have you been anxious before? You've been anxious about something, and you know it's irrational, you know it's not something to stress about, but you can spend 8 hours of a day thinking about that thing. Maybe even just 3 or 4 hours. Still a long time. And you keep thinking to yourself, I don't need to stress about that. That's not going to happen. That's too extreme. That was years ago. Whatever. You've got these rational thoughts. And you've got this rational part of you telling you, don't worry about it. Calm down. It's okay. Nothing to stress about. But this other part of your mind is just really, really stressed about this situation. If only there was a way to help make that easier. Guess what? Parts therapy is that thing. With parts therapy, you can use hypnosis to contact different parts of your own consciousness or your client's consciousness and communicate with them and help mediate a response between these two or more different parts of your consciousness to get a result to move forward in a direction that you're comfortable with, to get both of those parties understanding what's going on, what needs to happen. The part that's anxious and scared might need to know that things are safe. Maybe the part that's rational and says you don't need to worry about that actually does need to acknowledge some realistic problem in life that needs to be actioned and protected so that that irrational fear disappears and you understand clear, concise way that you need to deal with things. So welcome to my talk for Hypno Summit. I'm Lance Baker, a full-time clinical hypnotherapist that uses this day in, day out, all the time. You'll be able to see from what I tell you here today exactly how this could be used in your practice at home.
Excuse me.
Who are you?
I should take over from here.
What are you doing here?
I am the teacher. I'm the teacher part of you, Lance Baker.
Okay.
Yeah. I know I'm going to do a better job than you. I'm the one who guides you and makes you do the bits when you're the one teaching a class like this. How about you just let me run this one as it is? Yeah, it does make a lot more sense. Look at you. You haven't even shown up for class properly. You're wearing a t-shirt.
So what? We're in lockdown. These guys wear t-shirts. I don't need to put on a show for them.
Look at you. You're a slob. You probably haven't even brushed your teeth. Yeah.
I think I did. They can't smell me. It doesn't matter.
You're a mess. This is not a way to show up. People from all around the world are looking at this. You could at least wear a shirt, mate. Come on. I know this information better than you. I'm better at talking about this than you. Just go. Let me do this show.
Fair enough. I guess I can take it easy. Leave you guys to this fella. See you later. Hope you enjoy. Give me some feedback if he does a good job.
Thanks. You just go and relax. Go on. Go have some fun. Do something nice. I've got this from here.
I'll see you later, mate. Thanks for your help over the years. I appreciate it. See ya.
Now that he's gone, we can get into it. I'm Lance Baker. Well, I'm the teacher part of Lance Baker. And I'm here to talk to you guys about parts therapy. So before Lance started to talk to you about parts therapy, before I nicely interrupted to take over for this class for you, he was expressing about inner conflicts, about how us parts work. So as I just explained, I'm a part of Lance. I'm not the only part. Maybe we'll see some other parts later on as we go through this. Hopefully they leave me alone. I can do a better job without them. But let's see. They might want to help. They might actually be helpful. But parts therapy is different parts being out of a line and needing to be brought back into cohesion. Sometimes I agree with my fellow parts. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I know better. Occasionally, they might. Let's keep that between you and me, though. Don't let that be known if they turn up here. So anyway, parts therapy. It's needed when there's an inner conflict. And as Lance was talking about with the anxiety, you can have inner conflicts. You can have times when part of you feels one way and part of you feels another way. So he gave the example of anxiety. We quite often come up against it in cases of relationships. Somebody might be in a relationship and they want to work on it. They want to keep going. They're in love with the person. They really want that relationship to work. But another part of them cares more about their safety, because this person who they're in love with is abusive and is mean or rude to them. Maybe yells at them. Maybe hits them. Maybe does things worse. Who knows? Maybe it's just a light thing and they just rub them the wrong way all the time and are really rude to them. Part inside is going to prompt them to leave. Maybe they're prompting them to leave because they just want them to be on their own and do whatever single people do. But this other part is in love with them. So they've got this inner conflict. They're drawn in two completely different directions. And they're not two completely different directions you can go. You've got to pick one side or the other. And until one side or the other is picked, there's this inner conflict of these two parts fighting for your attention, nagging you, talking to you about different things. This opens up the pathway for you to engage with hypnosis, where you step in a therapeutic sense and talk to each of these parts and see if you can mediate and reconcile between them what's going on. Lance has talked to me and different parts of him in different times to get things working together. Sometimes he talks to me when it's not about a mediation and it's just a word of encouragement, or he's reminding me to do a different job for him, letting me know it's time for me to start teaching. Normally, he asks me to come and teach. Today he didn't. I had to butt in, take over. But this is a very different situation. I can come to you directly today. We're normally in a classroom. It's a bit harder for you to tell that I've just taken over him. So parts therapy can be diverse, of solving these inner conflicts, of helping to give healing to an individualized part, of giving inspiration to an individualized part, to just having a chat and checking in, to setting them forth on a task or a duty. And that's what we're here to talk about today, of how to engage with parts, of how to work with communicating with these parts to get a result moving forward, and how to solve that with hypnosis and hypnosis-like processes. So sometimes these parts will work together and make your life amazing. When we're all working in harmony, life works great. Life flows really easy. You're on a high. You're hitting your goals. You're feeling fantastic. But when these inner conflicts occur, when we get in disagreements, it's where life gets a bit harder. That's where life can get tough. Sometimes when a part's really upset, it can lead to that anxiety that Lance was talking about. It can lead to depression, stress, and upset. It can lead to sleepless nights because you're quiet enough. You're relaxed enough. There's no disturbances of a phone or a television that part thinks now it's time to grab their attention. I'm going to nag him. I'm going to keep saying it and 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 saying it until I've got his attention. sometimes these conflicting views are just not two different parts. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 different parts all with completely different views, all arguing a different side of things, and you're just lost in a tailspin of all different directions. What way to go? This is where parts therapy is fantastic. My view, and Lance's, is that two-way communication with a part inside is the best approach. You can use non-hypnotic method where you don't have direct communication with that part, where you just talk at it and hope it's listening, and that can work quite well, but not always. Now, I know as a part myself, there's some people I pay attention to all the time, and it's not a hypnotic moment. It's because I want to know what they have to say, and I'll take on board what they have to say. So every interaction with them is like a dedicated parts therapy session. So that can work. But until I've built that rapport with that person that I feel I can trust them, that I feel like their opinion is valid and worthwhile, they don't get that. But if they engaged in a hypnosis process and brought me forward and engaged in conversation with me instead of with Lance himself, they would have my attention. We would be in conversation, and I might just well do what they're asking me to do if they can convince me that is purposeful, that is going to help me achieve my aims and goals. That's what we're going to be talking about here today. That's where we're going to be using it. This is the best way for parts therapy to be used. Now, working with parts therapy is actually really, really easy. It's way more simple than you'd expect. And I really hope by the end of this presentation, you fully understand exactly how easy it is, and that you at least have some confidence in exploring this, whether this is on your own or with somebody else. If you're already an established hypnotherapist, you've got the ability to do this very, very simple. I'm going to assume you've already been using some kind of model of consciousness that you talk to, whether that's the subconscious or the unconscious or some other term to describe some element of this person's consciousness. Now, all you need to do is imagine there's multiple parts inside of that. And you can individually call out each and every one of those. And it's as simple as that. If you want to talk to somebody, you get their attention. You call them and ask them to come speak with you. Parts therapy is the exact same process, just generally within a hypnotherapy context. But you can do this in waking states as well. So, I'm going to give you a little example. I'm not just going to tell you, I'm going to show you. Because I actually would like some help here today. Because I know there's a different part of Lance who can really help you guys understand how to do parts therapy. Because this is somebody who works with it pretty much every day. This is the therapist part of Lance. So I'm quite simply just going to call him in. Now the way you can do this is multiple. You can either, 1, call a part by a name if you know their name. 2, you can call a part by their title. Like myself, I am the teacher. Quite simple. Just call out for the person by their title. Or 3 is a twofold way. You don't know their name or their title, but you know of an issue that's going on for your client. So you quite simply just call that issue. Somebody that can help with this issue, or some part that might be causing and creating this issue. Now, if you're using the latter there and calling some part that is causing or creating this issue, you need to have some tact and tread carefully. Don't call this part out to guilt and shame it, or it's not going to come talk to you. It'll just stay hidden. But if you're calling it out in a way that you're expressing you understand some reason of why this issue's there and you know they care, but you want to find a way to help them do that job in a better fashion, or to help this client, or that some other part inside is clearly having conflict with that and you want to mediate the response to make both parties happy and be able to achieve their end goal, then generally that part will be happy to talk to you. So let's go with this example. Like I said, I want to show you rather than tell you. I want to speak with the therapist. So, hey therapist, come on, come here mate. I know you can help with this. I'd like your help in this class. Can you come join me, therapist? Great, he's coming. He won't be long. Excellent. Cheers mate. Just have a seat here.
Thank you for welcoming me in.
Everybody, this is the therapist part of Lance.
Well, yes, thank you. Yes, everybody, I am the therapist part of Lance, and I'm very pleased to be here today to be able to share my knowledge of what I've learnt in the clinic with you guys there at home.
Now, I've called you in here today for a reason. I'm here to teach these guys about parts therapy. Are you happy to help?
Of course, I'd love to.
Fantastic. I knew you would be. You're always excited to talk about hypnosis.
That's great to be part of Hypno Summit.
Yes, exactly. When are we not keen? Now, I've missed your company, mate. We haven't got to hang out. We were meant to hang out already once to do the hypnosis certificate class in at the office, and then again for the diploma class, and both have been shut down from COVID. Disappointing, really disappointing that we didn't get to have fun with the students, show our stuff, get them to be just as great as they can be, just as good as you at making the change for the clients. But hopefully this lockdown will be over soon and we'll get to play again.
Oh, I'm so disappointed we didn't get to do that class. I love it when you invite me in to do demonstrations for you students to show them how we work in the therapy room. But, well, we've still got plenty of opportunities with that online. The clinic's been running on Zoom. We ran an SP class so far, so we're still doing things online. It's still fun. We still get to have great, lively interactions with people. It's not all bad that we're not face-to-face.
Yes, we have it. We have got to do things online. It's just not the same when you can't have that contact with somebody.
I think they're pretty lively.
We do make it as lively as we can online.
It's great. And they're fun.
Yeah, it is great. They do have fun. But you know what it's like. We like to use the mesmerism stuff as well.
You're right. It is different when we get to include mesmerism. Mesmerism is where hypnosis comes from. It's a massive passion of mine.
Yeah. Catch us at the end of Hypno Summit for a mesmerism talk. It's a great addition to parts therapy, to hypnosis, to counselling, to anything. It's the roots of where hypnosis comes from.
That's right.
So yes, but we're getting off topic there, mate. Let's get back to parts therapy. Now, where we're up to with this is I've called a part in. Now we need to open communication. How would you open communication with a part now that you've called it in and you know you've got its attention?
Well, I'd quite simply initiate an idiomotor response. Do you mind if I tell these guys?
Of course not.
Fantastic.
Go for it.
An idiomotor response is a great way to open up communication with a part inside, like myself or Teach over here. An idiomotor response is a nervous flicker. It's a way us elements of consciousness can communicate using the nervous system of the conscious person's body. It's a way of us bypassing that critical faculty without the person feeling like they could be interfering. You'll clearly notice what an idiomotor response is. It's got a very flickery, twitchy, unnatural sort of movement. An idiomotor response is an unconscious and an unnatural sort of movement of the body.
That's it. Also known as an idiodynamic response, if you're a Rossi fan.
Oh, I absolutely adore Rossi's work. It's amazing. I see why he uses this term idiodynamic response. It opens up a pathway to a whole broad spectrum of ways of communication from parts inside. So an idiomotor response is just that flicker of a movement of the body. But that's not the only way we can communicate. So there's also things like idiosensory responses, where you feel the response but you don't see it move. Or a way of an internal image, where you close your eyes and you ask for a colour to mean yes or no, or a picture. You can have idiosensory in the terms of smells and tastes that correspond to some sort of signal from us consciousness. And then there's idiocognitive, which is just where you hear in your internal dialogue that thought or idea that comes directly from a part inside. So idiodynamic's a fantastic term to use to include that full broad spectrum. But here today, we're just using idiomotor response, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we're keeping it simple for you here today. But this stuff can go way, way deeper in ways of communication. And so Rossi's term of dynamic is fantastic for that.
Yeah, the term idiomotor effect comes from Latin. It's coined by a guy called William Carpenter. He's a fantastic guy. He was influenced by Dr. Thomas Laycock, and he also worked with the fantastic James Braid, who I'm sure many of you have heard about. Now, the term is two Latin words, idio, meaning a thought or an idea, and motor, meaning movement. So the concept is the background thought coming through as a motor action, a movement, a twitch, a flicker, a quiver, to create some sort of response.
Well, Carpenter actually wasn't the first one to use this. He was just the first to put that name to it. You see, Carpenter was inspired not only by Laycock, but a guy called Chevreul, a French chemist who had wrote about these sort of things beforehand. He just didn't put a name to it. So Chevreul, a lot of people know of these days from his work with color chemicals and for his thing with pendulums. So a pendulum was known for quite some time in the hypnotic community as Chevreul's pendulum, because of his findings with this. So until Chevreul come along, these were just a divinatory purpose. People would hold it and try and work out if a pregnant lady was carrying a boy or a girl, depending on what way the pendulum spun and moved. Now, where Chevreul got interested in it was he's a chemist, and his fellow chemist friends would use the pendulum to work out the properties of certain chemical compounds. And so they'd hold it over it and ask if it had mercury in it or iron or whatever it was they were looking for and get their response. And so all I have to do is ask for a yes, and this one moves forward and backwards for me. I ask for a no, and it moves side to side normally. There we go. It's going side to side for a no. Now all this is doing is amplifying those minute little idiomotor responses in my finger to give a bigger response in this pendulum. So you can experiment with a pendulum to amplify your idiomotor responses if they are tiny. Now, Chevreul, as I said, he wrote about these things. He wrote about it in French, however, but my friend Alex has translated that for me for part of the research I was doing, so I've been able to have a read of it, and you will find a copy of that in your toolkit in the Hypno Summit toolbox thing. So enjoy having a read of that translation. Now, there's another book that we'll also put in there, I think. A piece of a book. This one we're not going to put all of in there. Myself and Alex have been working on a translation of a French mesmerist, Billet. Now, this dude come up with some amazing studies. He was actually the first one
to use an idiomotor response in a hypnotic context. And it was even before Chevreul had published his thing. With Billett's work, as I said, he was a mesmerist, which I love even more that this is tied in with this because mesmerism is a huge passion of mine. But he was mesmerizing this lady who had this like dead leg. Her leg was just shriveled and she couldn't use it. Zero control of her leg. And he's trying to give her healing. And he'd worked with her before he used mesmerism and couldn't get anywhere with his healing abilities before. Started working with mesmerism, thought he'd give her another go. And he's doing these passes over her leg, energizing her and putting her into trance. But mostly he's working these passes over her leg. And all of a sudden, the knee starts twitching and shaking. Now, she couldn't move her knee before. Now it's twitching. He got really excited. But then he thought about stop. And I think he might have said for it to stop. And it stopped. And then he thought to go. And said for it to go. And it goes again. And he realized it followed his command, not just the mesmeric passes. So he got even more tricky with this and he decided to use an idiomotor response because he asked for it to be a yes, to show him a way of saying yes, and it bounced up and down for the yes. To show him a no, and it went side to side for a no. He had communication, and he engaged in communication, and we'll give you that bit of the book, which we've translated, of just that first initial bit of communication that he has with this lady's holy guardian angel through her knee. It's amazing. And the book is huge. There's lots of different accounts of this guy's work, especially with this lady with this leg, and his conversations with this holy guardian angel, and that it turns into direct voice shortly afterwards. And he can do it without trance. Very shortly afterwards, he's doing amazing things with his woman. Zero trance, zero mesmerism being used. So it's a really amazing read. And until recently, when I found this, as far as I know, nobody had a clue of this idiomotor response connection with mesmerism. So I'm excited to share that with you guys at Hypno Summit. Check out that in the toolbox as well. And on we go. Sorry for interrupting with my excited stories about the other two earlier guys than Carpenter. Oh man, there are some very interesting accounts in that book. The guy that's helped us translate has had an absolute blast reading that book, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
So how about we do something instead of just talking about it? It's way more powerful if we show you rather than tell you about this.
That's a good idea.
So are you okay if I set up an idiomotor response and you teach?
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay. Right. So we're going to set up an idiomotor response on teach here. Now, because I want him present for this, we're going to do a waking form.
That's a good idea.
I don't want him sleeping on the job. No need to get lazy, is there?
No.
And I want your opinion and your input as we go. So let's have some fun with this. This is easy. It's great to do. And you can use this. Everything I'm about to show here can be done in that trance state. If you want to do it with your client while they're in deep hypnotic state, go for it. It's all exactly the same. But with this, pay attention, because you could do this in a waking time. You can be the hypnotist when you're at a cafe or a pub or at the dinner table without putting somebody in a trance. You can open up communication with the part inside. So let's go. Okay. Teach, I'd like you just to put your hands on your lap like this.
Sure thing.
That's it.
Okay.
And now, I'm going to ask to speak to your consciousness. Now, I'm not going to use parts on him because, well, he's a part of himself. It's just too weird. So I'm just going to set up an idiomotor response with his consciousness, his element of consciousness. Okay, teach. So your hands on your laps. And I want to speak to your consciousness. And I'd like you I'd like that element of your consciousness to connect in to one of those hands.
It's going to be this one. I can feel it already.
And any of the fingers on that. All of the fingers on that. But I want you to pick one finger that you can give me a flicker with now. Just a twitch, quiver, flicker of any one of those fingers. There we go. That was easy. Fantastic. Now we've got a signal. So I want to make that signal mean something. Did you feel that, T?
I did.
Good. I thought you would. Now, let's go. I want that to mean something. Can you show me, and it can be that finger or it can be a different one, can you show me a finger that you could do to mean a yes? Come on, show me a yes.
Looks like it's the same one.
There we go. A little bit bigger with that yes. And again. Fantastic. Wonderful. Did you see that? Did you see that yes?
Yes.
Great.
Very clear.
Now I don't want blind compliance. I want to really know what's going on. So show me no. No is a powerful word. No is sometimes quite often needed. Show me that no. And again, no. No. Bigger and bigger each time. Fantastic. No, 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 no. Excellent. Great. Great, great, great. You're doing wonderful. And then what about a maybe? A kind of, somewhat, a perhaps. Just in case there's that grey area that's somewhere in between. Show me that maybe. 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 And again, maybe. Bigger. Maybe. Fantastic. Great. Now I know you're intelligent, but sometimes I ask some strange questions. So just in case I ask something a little bit too strange, like how many millimeters it is from here to the moon right now, I'm guessing you'd have no idea because they're both constantly in flux. Just show me that. I don't know. I don't know. Just in case you just don't know the answer to one of my questions, show me that. I don't know. There we go. And again, I don't know. I don't know. Fantastic. Excellent. Now you can see we've got responses here. I can actually do some communication. I can get somewhere talking with teachers' consciousness. We can find out some things that are going on. Now, so did you feel that?
Yes, I did feel that.
And how was that for you?
That's a little weird. Normally, I'm the one creating those pulses from the inside.
Now, did you see that those movements are jerky? They're flickery. They're twitchy. It's not a natural movement.
No.
That's part of that giveaway that it's an idiomotor response. That the conscious person is not moving it. They don't need to move that hand. You want this other part to be moving it. And that's the clear thing. Okay. So, do you mind if I ask some questions and do some work for you?
No, why not? Let's try this out.
Good. I'm glad. So this element of teacher's consciousness. Do you think you have the ability to be able to open up the way Lance and Teach communicate and express hypnosis? Fantastic. Would you do that for them, please? Excellent. Will you start that today? Fantastic. Can you use all of your intelligence and creativity to make this process easier and easier? Fantastic. Now, since Teach said before, he doesn't always pay attention while I'm doing sessions. Can you help him pay attention to every session that Lance ever does? Can you help him to learn from it? Can you help him to teach other people not to make the same mistakes, to learn from whatever goes wrong? Good. Can you help make it so make it to fine-tune what that is? Fantastic. Can you help Teach to communicate with me how to make me a better therapist as we go? Fantastic. Excellent. As you can see,
it's quite easy to use and make some responses to find different things out. Let's ask a couple of questions. Can we do some hypno analysis? Great, thanks. Now I know everything about this guy, so it's a bit tricky, but I'll try and pretend for you. So, have you always been a teacher? Have you done other things in life? Did you have a role within Lance before you started teaching? Oh, that's interesting. Interesting. Well, we've had enough of that. I thank you for your time here today. I don't want to take up everybody's time with me playing with this. I'd like you to relax, control that hand, that arm, those fingers, and go back in the background and allow teacher just to feel completely normal. How do you feel, teacher?
Interesting. That was a bit bizarre.
Fantastic.
The way that felt. I got to say, this is the weirdest form of self-hypnosis I've ever experienced. Having somebody else facilitate it.
So now, would you mind if I gave everybody at home an experience?
Of course not. Go for it.
Fantastic. Everybody at home, you're going to get to have an experience with this right now. So now with this, your job is to do nothing after I get started. So to begin with, I want you to put your hands on your lap facing up. Now because you're all either therapists or you want to be, just like me, I want you to see or feel what one feels like it's most linked to your therapist inside. I want you to gaze into each of those hands or into my eyes. And I don't want you to do anything from here other than that. Just look and feel. I don't want you to try and move any of those fingers to please me. I want you to fight any sensation. I just want you to allow whatever to happen. Maybe nothing will happen. Chances are something will. And I'm now talking to that therapist inside of you. And I want to open up a bridge so that therapist can help you become the best you can be. Best therapist you can be. Whether that's a hypnotherapist or some other kind of therapist, and this is your new introduction to this world. I want to talk to that part, and I want it to connect down into one of those hands, into each and every one of those fingers on that hand. And when you're there, I want you to give a flick of one of those fingers. A little twitch, quiver, flicker. That's it. You can do it a little bit bigger. And again. And again, maybe you want to switch it up to a different finger now. Maybe you want to move a bunch of them. There we go. You're doing wonderful. And now I'd like that therapist inside to open up a pathway of communication with your person so that they can talk to you a little bit later. So I'd like you to show me yes. A yes. You can do it bigger than that. A yes. Yes. A yes. A yes. 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 That's it. Wonderful. Yes. Excellent. And now show them a no. A no. A no. Bigger. Clearer. No. 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 Excellent. Now a maybe. 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 Kinda. Somewhat. Perhaps. Maybe. There we go. Excellent. Just like I expressed. And now I don't know. And I don't know. And I don't know. And I don't know. Fantastic. Excellent. Now, be aware I can't see these responses, so it's only your conscious person that's going to understand this. It's just between you and them. Have you been paying attention to what I've been talking about here today? Can you help implement everything I'm talking about here today? Help your person remember it. Help them to use it. Help them to have the confidence to play with that. Will you do that for them, please? Fantastic. Now, I'd love to give you a little homework assignment. Tonight, while they're asleep, I want you to go over their memories of everything they've ever learned about therapy, about hypnosis, about ideomotor response. And I want you to put it all into clear, easy access memory. Neatly file it all there so they can access it any time they need. And to bring those informations forward whenever it's applicable, whenever it's useful to use, especially if they've got a therapy room, when they're in that therapy room, especially whenever they're interacting with somebody one-on-one in a therapeutic context. And for everything else you watch or listen to from this presentation here and every other presentation you watch like this, I want you to help pay great attention, to lock that in. Everything they learn about therapy from now on, everything they're exposed to, every bit of therapy they do, every bit of therapy they read about, watch, listen to, every hypnosis class they go to, counseling class, therapy class, energy healing class, anything loosely based with healing and therapy, I want you to pay attention, great attention, and to build it all into that knowledge bank and allow it just to be expressed and come through, to build the confidence and trust to do it, to be your own unique natural self with this. And I really want you to play with this. I want you to use every bit of creativity and intelligence you have inside on this task, to mix and match all these bits of information together to help make this work. I know you're way more intelligent and creative than anybody has ever given you credit for before, and I want you to use that. And I want you to really show your conscious person how amazing you are inside, how amazing you can make them do this job of therapy. I want you to open the floodgates to this. And I'd love for you to pay attention for different things into the future to help them fine-tune when, where, and how they invest their time and money in study for this, to really bring up on their radar different courses, books, and websites, and different things to explore that teach them about this, to get them really invigorated and focused, to let them know when they don't need extra study on different elements, so they don't completely go overboard and waste their time, to build their confidence up in what they have learned. You can do this. You've got it. I want you to use the knowledge you've got and help them pick the right places to add to that, and the right times to sit with what they've got and just become amazing with what skills you have already inside. Can you do all this? Now, I hope that was a yes, so I'm going to say thank you if it was. If it wasn't, then I want you to work out what you need to do to help make these pathways happen, to open that up over time. Now, your conscious person might want to pause this and ask you a few questions, and I hope you will talk to them just as clearly as you talk to me right now, or maybe they want to contact you another time and call you up. If they do, I hope you will talk to them just as clearly as you have now, maybe even clearer, to open up this more and more each and every day in each and every way that's applicable. Fantastic. Thank you for your time. I'd like you to relax, control those hands, those arms and those fingers, allow it to feel completely comfortable, natural and normal. And now I hope you guys at home felt some things there. Notice some things with your hands, your fingers. And I hope you use this, play with it later on. You've now had an experience. Maybe you want to take it a bit deeper some other day. Now I think we're nearly out of time, and I would have loved to have shared more with you. There's so much more we could have gone into. We just covered the basics of what parts is and how to open up communication with those parts and some of the reasons and things of why that can be helpful. But there's so much more we could have done. We could have gone in to Hypno analysis of working out what's going on with each of these different parts. We could have gone into parts mediation, where you mediate with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 different parts to get a result for that client. Whether it's building rapport with that part inside so that it is willing to come forward and talk to you, or just building that extra rapport again so it's willing and understanding to trust you and take on board the suggestions and ideas that you have for their healing. Whether it is just giving healing to a different part inside or retasking it on a new job, reskilling it to be able to do different things and achieve their full potential, to open up to their full creativity and intelligence. I would have loved to have shared all of that, but it would take a hell of a lot longer than what we've got here in this brief window of time to communicate at Hypno Summit. So thanks for joining us with this, but if you want to know more, just reach out to Lance. Beg him to run you a class. He'll put one on. He's put them on before at weird times so that it suits Americans, so it suits UK. He'll do that again if you convince him. Shoot him a message. Ask for a class. And you'll be able to have me teach you so much more through him. How about yourself?
I'd like to thank you for joining us at Hypno Summit. If you'd like to explore a session with me, I'd be more than happy to do a one-on-one session with you. You can find me at branchesofhealing.com.au. I can do sessions in person when this whole COVID situation ends if you're in Australia. If not, works just as well over Zoom, and I can do that anytime. I can always make a way of being able to open up the gifts within inside you, or give you and the parts inside of you the healing you deserve.
Now, I'd love for you to also come back and join us on the last day of Hypno Summit. The last day we'll be back to teach on mesmerism. Mesmerism is a huge passion of ours, as you might have guessed from a couple of the comments we made along the way with this class. Mesmerism is the roots of hypnosis. And with those roots, most hypnotherapists have no idea what they connect to. The energy behind your intention can really amplify what you do in the therapy room. Whether it's hypnosis, whether it's counseling, energy tapping, whatever it is that you do, it's going to be way more powerful if you are open to exploring and playing with the energetic side of things. So join us on day 6 of Hypno Summit to find out a little bit more about mesmerism. G'day, mate. I can't believe they didn't promote us. How dare they? The hide they've got. Hello. I'm the author part of Lance. I put a lot of effort into writing books. So check out my books on Amazon. There's a couple in the toolbox at Hypno Summit that you can get for free if you've signed up for that package. If you haven't, go to Amazon, buy a book. Keep a lookout, because next year I've got a great book coming that's much deeper, much bigger involved with all the sort of things we've been talking about here today, or the teacher and therapists we're talking about here today. A lot of their stuff I might have took and put in the book. But anyway, and there's some forthcoming translations that I've been working on with Alex that are great as well. Check them out when they're available. Lance Baker on Amazon. What about you, mate? You deserve a plug too.
Well, I am the podcaster part of Lance, and I'd like you to check out Akasha Talks with Lance Baker. It might have been quiet for quite some time because all the other parts have been taking up too much of Lance's time that I haven't been able to get out to play for a while, but I'm coming back. There's some good things lined up. Akasha Talks Season 2 will be kicking off very soon. But in the meantime, that gives you all the time in the world to catch up on all the previous episodes with fantastic hypnotists and healers from all over the world talking hypnosis, healing, and consciousness. Check it out on all podcatchers. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook. You'll be able to listen. Some of the episodes you can watch. Go and enjoy Akasha Talks with Let's Baker.
Thanks. Bye.